Hello everyone, this is the productivity video for Autodesk Inventor. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the productivity tips and tricks. Uh, why is that important? Because as you go through this video, as you go through this tutorial, at some point you'll be comfortable with designing the CAD objects that you want to design, and even if it's a complicated geometry, you'll be able to design it. Well, you'll realize that it takes longer time to do it, and an experienced CAD software can do it, in a very short time. Something that you spend maybe an hour to design, an experienced CAD software user can do it in a couple of minutes. And even if you want to be certified in Autodesk Inventor, same thing with the other CAD software like SolidWorks as well. If you want to be certified in these CAD software, you need to be productive and efficient as you design 3D object. For example, to be certified, you need to pass a test. And in these tests, there are some 3D objects that you are asked to design. And you'll immediately realize that it's not a problem. You can design it, but it takes a long time. So an experienced CAD software can design in a very short time and complete the, just provide the answer, provide a completed design in a given time, because there are time limitations in those tests. So for that reason, using the CAD software in an efficient way is extremely important. And we will have multiple videos for productivity in this tutorial. This is the first one. We're going to talk about some of the basics. On the screen, you can see that I am in part mode. And in the part mode, I'm going to create a new sketch. Select the XY plane. Let's just draw a rectangle here and then finish that sketch and then extrude that, sure, 10 millimeters. This is just the dummy object that we're going to use to talk about some of the productivity tips. First of all, when I use my middle scrolling wheel on my mouse, I can zoom in, zoom out. If I hold down the middle scrolling wheel, I can pan left, right, top, bottom. And I can hold down the shift key on my keyboard. And I can hold down the middle scrolling wheel and I can rotate and I can pivot the object and I can look at different edges, corners, and faces of the object. I can do the same things on the ViewCube on the top right corner. I can hold down the ViewCube and with my left button on my mouse and I can just pivot the object. I can look at different faces. If I lose where I am, I can click on the home button, and that will bring the home view to the screen. And on the view cube, you can always click on the front, and that's going to bring you the front view. And then you can go back to home view. You can click on top. You can click on these edges. You can look at the corner view. You can look at the right view. If you want to rotate it, you can use these arrows to rotate the object, and you can look at different faces and different edges. As I said, if you zoom in, for example, this is not a complicated object, so that's why it's a bit hard to explain in this one, but it's a simple 3D object. But let's say I zoomed in and I want to come back to home view. I can just click on this, right, as we mentioned. But let's say I don't want to do that. I just want the same view just centered in on the screen. Sometimes if you work with complicated designs and with a lot of complicated assemblies, for example, with hundreds of parts, you don't want you don't want to go back to the home view, but you want to just center the whole assembly in the screen. For example, let's zoom in here. I don't want the home view. Let's just change this. We're looking at this edge here. I don't want the home view. I just want to center this object on the screen. I can double click on the middle mouse wheel, and that will just center the 3D object on the screen. You have navigation wheels on the right side of the screen of the user interface. Full navigation wheel, if you click on that, it's gonna just be attached to your cursor, and you can click on zoom and then zoom in and out. You can orbit, or you can pan, or you can move up, down. You can center, you can use these shortcuts, and then you can walk uh, around the object. You can do these cool things. You can pan by clicking on that hand sign there, left, right, top, bottom. You can use the targeted zoom option if I want to zoom into this If I want to create a window and zoom into this corner, I can zoom in like that. Let's double click on scrolling wheel on the mouse and go back to the center. And then I can, again, free orbit. You can use that. Or you can use this look at shortcut here. And you can click on a face, and that's going to bring that view to the screen. And why are they important? A lot of times, if you have access to a mouse, you're not going to use these shortcuts, but sometimes engineers have to take their laptops and maybe give a presentation, and they don't have their mouse with them. Sometimes engineers need to take their laptop and go to a manufacturing floor, talk to a machine operator, talk to an assembly line worker, talk to a supervisor, and they just have to carry their laptop with them, and they don't have access to a mouse. And they, when using the touch screen, and just, it can be quite challenging in those circumstances. So that's why these shortcuts can be very helpful in those kind of situations. And of course, if you have access to a mouse, you don't have to use those shortcuts. You can just hold down the Shift key and rotate and pivot the part and look at different sides of the assembly or 3D object. And some people who use SolidWorks might find it annoying that you have to hold down the Shift key, because in SolidWorks you don't have to. But once you get used to it, it's not really a big problem. So another thing is, of course, if you have your keyboard and there are a lot of shortcuts in your keyboard. If you go to Inventor keyboard shortcuts, if you all you have to do is just Google Autodesk Inventor shortcuts, probably the first result is going to be Inventor keyboard shortcuts, hotkeys, and commands guide. You can click on that, and that's going to take you to shortcuts website. And this is just a quick illustration for the shortcuts available on your keyboard. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, like cancel, delete, but also you can see that on your keyboard you have those shortcuts available, like pan, zoom, rotate, and the F keys, and some additional shortcuts available, like equal constraint. For example, with the equal key, you can create a work plane using this shortcut. You can use a work axis or work point by using these shortcuts. A lot of people commonly use page up or home on your keyboard. For example, if I click on page up and then click this, that's gonna bring me that. Or if I click on home, that's gonna bring this to the center that view on the screen. So, or I can just click on the home button here. That's gonna bring me to the default view of the 3D model, a 3D object that you created. And if you scroll down, you'll see a lot more shortcuts. Some of them are commonly used shortcuts in many other software, like Control P, Print, Control S, Save, things like that. But there are a lot of unique shortcuts that are customized for Autodesk Inventor as well. You don't have to look at them. You don't have to memorize them. The key part here is, if you are learning CAD software, just if you're just starting to learn this, you don't need to use a lot of shortcuts. And as you learn it, you will realize that you use some of the commands more often than the other ones. And then you realize that, well, there must be an easy way to do this, because to be able to do this, I have to click 4 or 5 times and I have to open different windows and do this and that. Maybe there's just a shortcut that can save you a lot of time. You just need to know that there are shortcuts available, and you can just look at this page and find a shortcut you need, and you can start to use that. And after a couple of days, you get used to it, and it becomes a muscle memory, part of your muscle memory. So just know that these are available. Another thing that we need to look at is the right click menu. In the previous videos, we showed that if you right click, you can select anything you want here, but at the same time, you can right click and drag it, and then you can select extrude, for example. So you basically reduce 2 clicks to 1 click. You don't have to right click and then left click. You can just drag it and then select it. Actually, there's another capability in Autodesk Inventor. You can just, without looking at it, you can just draw a line. If you memorize where that command is, you can select that feature. For example, I know that in the right click menu, new sketch is in the south side of the center. So then I don't even have to look at it. I can just like I can hold down the right click and move down, and that's going to select new sketch. But that's very sensitive. I don't really recommend using it. I tried to use it before. I accidentally select some other things and that just wastes more time, but you might find it useful. It's just available there for you. And the last thing I want to talk about is the space mouses, CAD mouses. There are so many other companies out there, especially lately, a lot of Chinese companies coming forward with different products. There are some US manufacturers as well. They make CAD mouses. So if we just Google CAD design mouse. Now these are just a handheld mouses, but if you just do space mouse, let's go to images. You see that there are so many CAD mouses, space mouses available out there. Some of them have a lot of extra keys to be used as shortcuts. Some of them are very minimalist design. Some of them are wired. Some of them are wireless, and you can use those to save a lot of time. For example, I have one right now, so I'm not even holding my mouse. I'm not using my keyboard. I'm just using my space mouse to rotate the part in space. And these products are expensive products. I don't recommend, buying one. If you're working for a company and if you are the CAD designer there, just talk to your IT department or talk to your supervisor. Tell them to buy you one, and that's definitely an investment that basically gives you the return of your investment because it saves you a lot of time, and that way you can finish your designs, meet your deadlines, and so that why your the organization that you're part of should be able to get this for you, so you don't have to spend money on it. But if you are not working for a company like that, then you still shouldn't buy it because you're in the early stages of this tutorial. I think you should just use the mouse and the keyboard to go through the tutorial. And then once you start working on complicated geometries, complicated assemblies with hundreds of, components, and then you really need to save time to complete your projects, then you might want to explore, online shopping websites and look at these space mouses and read some reviews and decide which one is best for you. But I highly recommend it. Once you purchase it, it probably comes with the software. In the software, there will be some exercise tutorials. At first, it feels weird, but then the trick is whenever you use these space mouses, you need to imagine that you are holding this object that you see on the screen. You're holding it in the palm of your hand, and you're moving the object in your hand to look at different faces and different edges and corners of the object. And you'll see that in the next videos of the tutorial, I'll be using the space mouse to save time and show you that it can help you be more productive and efficient. So these are some of the productivity tricks that you need to be aware of. Just know that these things exist, and it can save you a lot of time. You don't have to memorize them. As we move forward, I'll show you that some of the frequently used commands can be executed a lot more efficiently with these shortcuts. Thank you.